I would say it's a very big priority because, see, that's one thing that's a little different than other things. We can bomb the hell out of them. We can knock them out for a loop. But to close the strait, all you need is one terrorist that somehow has a truck loaded with, because you can carry them in trucks, large trucks, a water mine, drop them in the water, and now you tell people that own ships that cost $1 billion to don't worry about the mine. You can do that even just by saying we put mines in the water.
Right now, deadline day in Iran, the terror regime has a little more than 12 hours to reopen the Strait of Hormuz or get blown up to the Stone Ages. As moments ago, Iran state media reporting the IRGC threatening to strike U.S. infrastructure and withhold oil and gas for years. Our next guest knows all about fighting the war on terror in the Middle East. Retired Navy Commander and former USS Cole Commander Kirk Lippold joins us. And Commander Lippold, thank you for your insight. You just heard President Trump talking there about a small mine could do so much damage and paralyze that strait. You well know Iranians likely behind the attack on the Cole. Talk me through the dangers that Iran still poses to the strait.
Well, good morning, Griff. And one of the issues you have to look at is not only the mines themselves, but to a degree, it's also information warfare. The fact that they can announce they even have that capability is enough to give ships pause. And what you're seeing the Iranian regime do is actually throttle and control an international waterway, which cannot be allowed. I mean, the bottom line is, regardless of how other nations feel about President Trump's correct decision to attack Iran, to make them accountable for what they have done for decades in killing thousands and in building and trying to build a nuclear weapon with ballistic missiles, the bottom line is that strait needs to be opened. And he is absolutely correct in saying, we will do whatever it takes to get the Iranians to have free passage of ships through the Strait of Hormuz and other areas in the Middle East.
You were in command of the USS Cole when a small boat of Iranian-backed terrorists simply came up to the ship and caused the devastation and death that they did. How difficult will it be to stop something like that happening in the strait now?
Well, I think what you have to look at, Griff, is first I would have to make one minor correction, and that is that it was al-Qaeda when they did it, but it's clearly been proven that Iran and al-Qaeda worked together and supported each other. That's where you get the thread connecting the two of them together. But at the end of the day, that boat coming up to USS Cole, we had nothing in our intelligence community at all to indicate that we were going to face the threat of a waterborne improvised explosive device. Today, what really has to happen is we need to create the conditions for persistent surveillance over the Strait of Hormuz and off the shores of all those small islands, Larak, Kesh, and others, to ensure that if anything comes out from there, or we see any preparations to launch, mines or otherwise, they should be absolutely destroyed and done quickly. So having that capability exist has got to be a priority for the administration, and it has been part of the war plan, but now we're seeing where it has to actually be implemented.
How important is it that Gulf states, who seem to be indicating they may be willing to help open the strait, and also NATO countries, how important is it that other countries help us?
I think at this point, it's absolutely critical. Again, going back to what I said, whether you agree or disagree with the decision to move forward with this conflict, with President Trump being absolutely right in doing it, if not now, when, and if not, how many lives, give me a number. But at the end of the day, these other countries becoming involved, NATO, the Middle East countries, it proves to their benefit, because if that strait's open, you have the free flow of maritime traffic and oil from the Middle East, as well as other products and goods. That is going to be good, not just for the Middle East and Europe. It is going to be good for the world, because it also sends a signal to China that what they're doing in militarizing those islands in the South China Sea will not be tolerated if they use that for a power projection purpose to try and control that region of the world following an invasion of Taiwan.
We've got to go, but quickly, why isn't China or India, some of the other customers that are the biggest users of this strait, helping clear it?
I think, quite frankly, when you look at China, That's still a brutal communist dictatorship. They have proven themselves again and again to not be a competitor or an adversary, but in fact, an enemy of the United States. They have aided and abetted Iran. All you have to do is look at some of the recent Wall Street Journal articles that support that. And at the end of the day, India doesn't have the power projection capabilities to come all the way to the Middle East to do those types of activities. They are a very good regional power and partner, but at the end of the day, those two countries need to stay on their own.
Commander, we've just got confirmation that Fox News confirming that Kharg Island has been hit. How significant is that development? What do you make of that news?
I think it's an excellent development. Everything we can do to take down any military capability on that island, to destroy the IRGC military equipment and the forces there, is going to give us an opportunity that, should we choose to exercise and invade that island and actually go on there in order to grab Iran by the economic throat, that is going to be a good thing. That capability has to be eliminated first in order for us to get those Marines ashore.
Retired Navy Commander Kirk Lippold, thank you for your insight and a little bit on that breaking news that Kharg Island has indeed been hit. Commander, thank you.
Thank you, Griff.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.